Okay, so good morning, everyone, and welcome. It's great to see so many of you have decided to join us today. But before we begin, I'd just like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, upon whose ancestral lands our city campus now stands. I pay respect to the elders, both past and present, acknowledging them as the traditional custodians of knowledge for this land. So before we get into it, some housekeeping. So this webinar will now be recorded. We'll record our audio and video footage, the slide presentation, which we're currently sharing, and any of the written questions you provide us throughout the presentation. We don't have any access to your webcam or microphones, so we're not able to hear or see you. So there's no need to worry about that at all. If you do have any concerns about your privacy, please get in contact with us at UTS by emailing marketingprivacy@uts.edu.au. Firstly, I'll introduce you to our panel today. My name is Vicky. I'm a student ambassador at UTS Science, and I'm currently a PhD student in forensic science. I'm pleased to introduce you to your host today, Associate Professor Andrew McDonald. Andrew is the Associate Head of School Teaching and Learning in the School of Mathematics and Physical Science at UTS Science. We also have Catherine on the panel. Excuse me. Catherine is a student ambassador at UTS Science as well, and is currently studying the Bachelor of Science with a major in chemistry. So together, we will be presenting you with an overview of chemistry at UTS and answer any questions you may have at the end of the session. We'll run through why you should consider chemistry, what career opportunities are out there, and discuss what it's like as a student studying at UTS. And then we'll open up the floor to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Vicky. So chemistry at UTS sits within our Bachelor of Science degree. You can see on the screen here, we've got our 2021 selection rank. Keep in mind that this is indicative, and these selection ranks can go up and down. It's an indication of supply and demand. So a chemistry degree is generally 3 years study full-time, which means about 4 subjects per session. And we have a mix of online and face-to-face learning. And that's important in chemistry because a lot of the face-to-face learning takes place in our facilities, which genuinely are world-class. You'll get to use the super lab in your first year where you do hands-on experiments in chemistry. But in second year and third year, you get your hands on some really advanced instrumentation. And that's an important part of chemistry, being able to use advanced instrumentation, because that's what happens in the wider community. Okay, real world experience. This is important as well. One thing that we like to encourage most of our students to do is internship, whether that's with partners external to the university or with partners within the university. And those partners could be researchers working on cutting edge research, and you get to be part of those projects. Next, Vicky. This part of the presentation I really enjoy. What is chemistry? The very first thing about chemistry is something that you do. It's not something that you learn. So there are certainly things that you need to know about chemistry, but chemistry is a doing science. And so you can see the first point there, that it's practice oriented, and that's really important. Chemistry, as the central diagram shows, sits right at the heart of physics, engineering, and life science. So it really is the central science. And I can speak from personal experience. I have colleagues in each of those 3 areas that I work with on a regular basis, doing research in each of those fields. So the things that we discuss in class are very much research inspired and transdisciplinary. So you can see just on that slide a few examples of things. So there's an organic light emitting diode spanning the area of organic chemistry and physics. And at the top right, you can see an explanation of why opal has such an intense display of colour. And you can drill right down to the nanoscale to see what's going on there. Okay, next slide, Vicky. Here is an indicative plan of how a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry might span out for you. Keep in mind, this is not going to be exactly the plan that you might undertake, but it's pretty close. So first year is very foundational. It's chemistry, it's mathematics, it's physics, and then you get to choose one other thing. And we also include our principles of scientific practice subject in there as well. In second year, you get to experience the full range of chemistry, organic, physical, inorganic, and analytical. And we also develop professional skills along the way. Third year is where you really start to get into greater detail and a really deep dive into each of those areas. And there's also the choice of a fourth year. And the fourth year is called the honours year. And it's for those students that have received a credit average throughout the first 3 years. And that involves a research project and practice-oriented subjects. Okay, next, Vicky. Careers in chemistry are far and varied. You can see a number of areas listed on the screen, but I would have to say chemistry is one area where our students go just about everywhere. So some of our students end up as teachers, others end up as researchers, industrial chemistry, pretty much anywhere where you need to apply a sound and fundamental scientific knowledge. Okay, next one, Vicky. One thing to keep in mind, if you're feeling that you need to brush up on any areas of your fundamental chemistry, we offer bridging courses. And these run in the summer, so January, February, before the semester proper starts. And we offer them in chemistry, maths, and physics. So if you want more information about those, go to the UTS website and we have some information there. Next one, Vicky. UTS offers an early entry program. So you can see here the eligibility is listed for you. It's based on your year 11 results. However, it's clear that you do at some point need to finish year 12, and then offers will be made and released on the 5th of October. Now, for more details, go to the UTS website, or you can chat to someone during the day. Next one, Vicky. This is the one thing that I genuinely wish we could all be standing on our campus to look at, because you would get to see the facilities that you would be using next year. Our facilities, I can honestly say, are wonderful. Our labs, our super lab, it really is a great place to work and learn. So I'd encourage, if you would like to, have a look at some of our online sessions. Next one, Vicky. Okay, so at this point, you've heard from me. I think it's important that you hear from a current student as well. So I'm going to hand over to Catherine, who's going to give you some insights into what it's really like. So over to you, Catherine. So
I was just going to go through the highlights of my degree and something I found as a challenge. So UTS Science has 4 free electives that you can use on anything. However, I chose to use them to do an internship. So I've done 2 types of internships through UTS. I've done an industry internship that was advertised through the UTS Careers channel. And I did that internship at ANSTO. So I worked at ANSTO for a whole year and I was supported through UTS. I got academic credit for it and I was able to write a paper through that as well. And then I've also done an internship through the UTS Science faculty. So I did an internship with one of my professors on something he was studying. I was heavily involved in the research component, and when they published the paper, I was able to contribute to that paper. And so as a second year, I was able to get my name on a published paper, which I think is a really unique opportunity. And I think that these are opportunities that are quite afforded to us at UTS. Something that I found has been a challenge is the transition from high school to university can be quite of a challenge. You can go to having like prac reports due every single week. You can have like really long practical classes, and these can be quite a challenge to get used to. However, they're really important things to learn, and I think it's a lot easier than doing something like this in high school because you're really passionate about what you're learning, and so you'll really enjoy, you know, being in a lab class for 4 hours and, you know, writing reports on the things that you're studying. And UTS also has lots of support services available to you that can help you with this transition if you are struggling. But I think it's still a really great opportunity, and you learn such great skills that can apply to the real world. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Catherine. So we'll start taking questions or answering questions. So Vicky, do you want to take charge of the questions, and Catherine and I will do our best to answer them. Oh,
Great, thanks. Thanks, Andrew. So if you have any questions, now's the best time. If we can't answer right now, you can join in on an advising chat with us today until 3 p.m. Otherwise, we also have another session for chats with academics and students on Tuesday to chat between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. So let's just have a look at the questions that have been submitted whilst we're through the presentations. Okay, so we've got one question. How intimidating is the chemistry course for a Bachelor of Forensic Science student with little scientific background or knowledge? And this particular question person has said, I'm planning to enroll in a bridging course in 22.
I think I can speak towards chemistry specifically because I didn't study high school chemistry. I studied Year 12 biology. So I actually came into UTS having no background in chemistry. But the first year chemistry course is a really good foundation in what to expect from chemistry and to understand it. So if you want to do a bridging course, that's a really good way to get background. But I found the chemistry course, you didn't need to have a huge background in chemistry to be able to understand the foundations of it. And we also have a UTS maths and science help department. So if you're struggling with a maths question or a chemistry question, you can go to them and they can help you answer it and help you to get your head around what you're studying.
Great, thanks for that, Catherine. So move on to the next question. So will the honours year have any extra requirements?
No, it doesn't have any extra requirements other than those that I mentioned. That is a credit average in your undergraduate program to date. Although it does have extra advantages in that an honours degree sets you one rung above when applying for certain positions. And it's also our pathway to a PhD at UTS. So it opens up quite a number of doors as well. But in answer to the question, no other requirements.
Thanks for that, Andrew. The next question is, I think you touched on it briefly, Catherine. What advice would you give to a student when they first start the degree so that they feel set up and ready to study?
I think it's really important to not fall behind because especially, you're doing 4 subjects that can have quite heavy workloads. You want to just make sure you're always keeping up with it. And if you don't understand something, ask right away. And it's so easy to ask. There's so many, we do peer tutoring and classes where you can attend outside of your normal classes and ask questions, especially in first year. I think most of the subjects have it. So don't be afraid if you don't know something. Sometimes what you're learning can be challenging, but yeah, keep up. There's so many different avenues. We have lab classes, we have lectures, we have tutorials, we can have workshops. So there's all sorts of different classes that you have where you can interact and ask questions and really understand what you're learning.
Great, thanks for that, Catherine. So another question is, I don't know if I'll get the right selection rank to get in. Are there any ways to get into the course I want?
The answer to that is yes. UTS does have other admission pathways. What I would suggest though is go to the UTS website and look at admissions and other alternative pathways, and they'll be able to give you information on exactly that question.
Great, thank you. And this is the question, what would you say makes the UTS chemistry course unique in comparison to others?
Okay, in my opinion, it is the practical nature of the course. It is the ability to go into laboratories that are fully equipped with modern equipment and get your hands on it. That would be the number one. The second would be the availability of internships where you can work on research projects while still within your degree. Catherine, would you say anything else?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the practical components. UTS has really good labs, like we have the Super Lab, which you come across a lot in your first year of science. And then we also have really cool technology that you get access to in your second and third year. And definitely with the opportunity to do internships, like I just talked to one of my professors and he was like, cool, you can do an internship with me. And it was really, really easy. It's not intimidating. It's not scary. And it really sets you up to be able to have those opportunities.
Great. Another question is, will I be able to do a chemistry degree if I'm struggling with high school chemistry? I think you might have touched on that earlier, Catherine.
Yeah. I didn't do high school chemistry at all, so I know what I was going into. And I found the first year chemistry degree, really like a good kind of introduction into what chemistry is. However, if you're concerned, there's, like Andrew mentioned, there's bridging courses that you can do as well. Yeah.
Right. Does UTS help me find a job at the end of my degree?
Now that is a question that our UTS has a careers service. And again, I would suggest go to the website and have a look at UTS careers. And there you'll be able to get some information on that question.
Thanks, Andrew. Next question is, what was it like balancing an internship while studying your course? And what were the main struggles?
Yeah, so I actually did both of my internships outside of normal study time. So I did an internship through ANSTO, which was a year in industry program. So I basically deferred UTS for a year and I worked full time at ANSTO. And so they were like, I wasn't doing uni at the same time. And then I did my second internship through UTS during the summer. So I just did it over like November to February. And so again, I wasn't doing university at the same time. However, I think if you are doing university and an internship at the same time, you can manage it because you can do it as a subject, which means instead of doing 4 subjects, you would do 2 or 3 subjects. So your workload isn't as full. And you would just do it, you're not at uni 5 days a week most of the time. So you can do it on your days that you're not at uni, and you can balance it quite well.
Thanks for that, Catherine. Now that the release of HSC results has been delayed until mid-January, when will the courses start?
That's a good question. At this point in time, I haven't seen any information that says that the start of semester will change, and the start of semester is at the end of February, so the last week of February. But if there are any changes, they will be indicated on the UTS website.
Thanks, Andrew. Next question is a chemistry degree a good pathway to get into medicine or dentistry?
That's an interesting question. And my honest answer is I don't know, because that depends on the student's ability then to gain entry into a postgraduate medical degree. And really that all depends on the student and their ability to do that. So it's not a yes or no answer.
All right, thank you. The next question is, what made you choose chemistry?
So I actually went into UTS to study biotechnology, not chemistry. And I did the first year chemistry subject and I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I would. And I decided that I wanted to change to chemistry instead. So I didn't actually know I wanted to study chemistry until I came to UTS and studied it.
Thanks, Catherine. Next question is, what are some of the jobs people with this degree have? And how do you think career prospects will be like going forward?
This is another tricky question to answer because it's trying to project 3 years into the future of where our job market will be. But what I do know is that right now, people in chemistry are getting jobs in quite varied fields. So for example, I know of graduates that work for Sydney Water, for example. That's quite a large organisation that employs numerous chemists. Chemists go into areas of education, into analytical laboratories. So for example, the laboratories where our COVID tests go, these people that work there, many of them have chemistry degrees. It really is a very broad and varied area. One thing that I do know is that graduates with scientific training remain to be in demand.
Thanks for that difficult question, Andrew. So the next one is, how does high school level chemistry vary from university level chemistry?
Okay, it overlaps. So at the end of high school chemistry, we step back a little bit at the start of our very first chemistry subject and gather all of those people that may have not done much chemistry in high school, move through that, and then start to develop on top of that later on in first year. So the answer is it overlaps.
Thank you, Andrew. I'll just remind everyone that we've got about 5 minutes left. So if you still have some questions, we're still able to pop them into the chat and we can try to get to them. I think we had another attendee mention bridging courses, but we've got another question. If we are having trouble understanding the course, how do we get some help? Also, would you recommend doing the maths bridging course?
Personally, I would recommend the maths bridging course if you're unsure about your mathematical abilities. So yes, I would recommend that. The second thing we have is, well, there's a number of things to help you along the way. We have our Maths and Science Study Skills Centre, where you can go along to get help with any of your mathematics, physics, or chemistry problems during the semester. During the course themselves, there's built-in online material that can help you learn. But I'll also ask Catherine what she thinks about that question as well.
Yeah, so I actually struggled with maths. I went in and did the first maths subject and I couldn't do it, like they wouldn't let me. And so I ended up doing a subject called Foundations of Mathematics. So this was like, I was already into my degree, I couldn't do the bridging course that I was aware of. And so I did Foundations of Mathematics, which I don't know how relevant this information still is because I did it a while ago, but it ran as a free subject. So you didn't have to, it didn't count as a real subject. You didn't have to do it. It didn't have to pay for it and it didn't count towards academic credit, but it taught you basically all year 12 mathematics, like 2-unit maths, and was a good foundation to understanding maths modeling, which is the first maths subject you have to do in year 12, in first year chemistry. And you can also take it as an elective and use it as a subject that way. So yeah, that's what I did. I didn't do very well at maths either.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. That's a good point. So people now take foundation mathematics as one of their electives. That's the pathway now. And so it counts as an elective, but it also gets your mathematics up to the stage where you can continue on.
Thank you. So next question is, what do you learn in physical and analytical chemistry?
Right, let me answer that back to front. I'll start with analytical chemistry. So analytical chemistry is the chemistry of determining what and how much of a substance there might be in a particular sample. So for example, someone may present some contaminated water and the question is, what substances are in this water and how much are there? So, for example, there could be arsenic, there could be any sorts of toxic substances. There may be non-toxic substances as well, but analytical chemistry answers the question, what is in that and how much is there? Physical chemistry describes the physical processes that go on within chemistry. So, for example, when you look at the side of a cereal box and it says how much energy is in your rice bubbles, that is physical chemistry. That has been measured. Somebody has taken that material and they've worked out the amount of energy in there. They've worked out the thermodynamics of that particular material. And so physical chemistry covers thermodynamics as well as the kinetics of chemical processes.
Thanks, Andrew. So we've got just a couple of questions. Is a bachelor's degree enough to enter into a career in science, or is it preferred to also go into postgraduate study?
Well, the answer is, first of all, yes, with a but, and the but is postgraduate study broadens your choices. So yes, it's enough to go into a career, but if you want more choices, then you can do more study. It's pretty much as simple as that. Oh, no, I would put one more thing to that, and that is some people find it almost irresistible to go into postgraduate study. That was my case, in that if you are genuinely and deeply interested in it, then you want to learn more. And so it may well be that your ticket into postgraduate study is simply the passion that you have for that particular area of science.
Thanks, Andrew. And just one question, what is the workload like in this course?
Well, I'll go first and then I'll ask Catherine for an answer. And the honest answer is it's up to you. And the reason for that is we have grades that go all the way from high distinction down to pass grades. And a lot of what grade you receive depends on how much work you put in. So, Catherine, what would you add to that?
I think it can be a lot of workload depending on like what combination of subjects you're doing. If you struggle really with maths and physics and you're doing a maths and physics subject at the same time, then the workload might be a bit more. But you know, if you attend your classes on time and go to them when they're happening, and then you do 4 hours of work outside of the class times, you still have a lot of free time. Like I work 3 days a week at the moment and go to uni for 4 different subjects, and I balance that quite well. So I think the workload at first, it might seem like a lot, but once you get the hang of it, once you take your notes while you're in your lecture and you do your reports on time and you get a hold of things, the workload can be a bit challenging, but it's quite manageable.
Okay, thanks, Catherine. It's time to wrap up now. So thanks everyone for joining in, and hopefully you can attend some of the other events we have during the day. So thanks, Catherine. Thank you very much. And thanks, Vicky.
Great. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you. Bye-bye.